Hey guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Today's target is to solve question number 5.17. Chapter is cost per profit volume analysis, CPV, and we have already solved 5.16 and you are well familiar with several supporting calculations which we usually do. Just quick review. Total cost we have seen, fixed cost plus variable cost. Then you need to know per unit cost. And how do you calculate per unit cost? When you have amount and you divide it with number of units. Amount in this way can be calculated by multiplying units into per unit. Kindly be focused and repeat these three lines as many times as you can. It looks simple, although it is simple indeed, but sometimes due to importance we have to repeat figures as well. So you can see that these are three lines and I'm requesting you to repeat these three lines as many times as you can. Then you do know your contribution margin. Simply you subtract variable cost from sales. Then you have contribution margin ratio. How? CM would be divided by sales. As you are well familiar with CM now, so instead of writing complete contribution margin, I'm writing CM. And then you must know per unit CM. How you can calculate is per unit sales and subtract per unit variable cost out of it, you will get per unit CM. Then you are familiar with break even, a point where your revenues are equal to cost, and break even in terms of unit, break even in terms of rupees. These were few concepts we are just repeating, and now come to the point. This is our question, company name, this and that, and this is old income statement. This is given like that. So this is important, you will have to write it again. Prepare new contribution. If it is old, he wants us to create new contribution margin income statement. And how? He is saying following condition would be, these condition would be followed, each condition, but independently. The word is important, independently. That means when you are solving one, it has no concern with two, and when you are solving two, it has no concern with one. All are independent and directly associated with the old one. Hopefully you have understood. Acha, let me know, do you remember margin of safety was what? Difference between actual sales and break-even sales. So I was just willing to let you remind few more things, and within question we will see that. Okay, first we will create old income statement, sale, and then less variable cost, with which variable cost, and then you will get your contribution margin. Then you will subtract your fixed cost, you will get net margin, just for the sake of recordings. Now our question is saying why I am writing, because it's so important. Without it, it would be little complicated for you to understand. So here the first thing which we do write are units. How many units they are preparing? 30,000. Put as a record 30,000 over here. Then in next column you write per unit cost. Okay, actually these columns are little wider, so I'm worried. So here per unit cost you will be writing, and next would be amount. Within this you can put your values over here. Old statement we are writing because without its reference you won't be able to get the perfect view. So we have units per unit and amount. 30,000 are the units, and now you can see that 5, 3 and 2 are per unit. 5 is per unit cost of sales, 3 is per unit cost of variable, and contribution margin would ultimately be 2. And the amounts which are being discussed are 150,000 at start, sale price is 150,000, and then 90,000 is your variable cost. You have got your contribution margin as 60,000, 50,000 is fixed cost. Finally, you are getting net margin as 10,000. So here is old version of income statement. First requirement is the number of units sold increased by 15%. Number of unit we want to increase by 15%. So this is the only thing which we would change. Look at here, first requirement. Number of units sold are increasing, and there is nothing else we will change. So at this stage, what we will do, here you will create your new income statement over here. Just a difference. You are creating old here and new over here. Same, you will use units per unit and amount in our new statement. The difference which would be created is 30,000 units. Number of units sold increased by 15%. You can see that old units were 30,000. Increase was 15%. How you will calculate 15%? 30,000 are the units, and you will take its 15%, multiply by 15 divided by 100. This is increase. So how many number of units in total? You will see 30,000 were the old, and now 4,000 is an increase. So collectively units would be 34,500. Per unit, he is not asking to change. Same per unit would be used over here, and same per unit variable cost would be used over here. And as you know, units sold would always be same to the units for variable cost. It's now easy to calculate amounts. Units multiplied by per unit. As you have seen in supporting calculation, we have written the first formula where we have seen if you want to calculate your amounts, you will multiply units with per unit. Okay, then how many number of units? Now we are selling 34,500 and per unit sale 5. You have got your new sales. New variable cost, how would you calculate? Number of unit 34,500, multiply it with variable cost, which is 3. So here you have calculated your variable cost. Now just calculate contribution margin by subtracting variable cost from the sales. Sale is 1,72,500. Subtract variable cost from it. So here you have got your contribution margin. Fixed cost, how much it would be increased? Let me know. It's your new and new old sales. Just compare it, old and new sales. You will come to know how much would be the difference. So again, I'm asking the question. 50,000 was the cost, fixed cost, when you were manufacturing 30,000 units, and now you are manufacturing 34,500. That means unit has been increased. How much increase in fixed cost would happen? Hopefully someone of you will give the correct answer. Fixed cost means fixed. It would not be altered. So it means the cost 50,000, which was for 30,000 number of units. It would be similar if you are manufacturing 34,500 units. Now let's calculate our net margin by subtracting fixed cost from contribution margin. Contribution margin 69,000 and your fixed cost is 50,000. So we have got our first answer 90,000. You can see over here answer is written. First part 15% increase, 19,000. So 19,000 would be the contribution margin. How you can depict its result? If you will increase your number of units sold, definitely there will be an increase in your profit as well. But condition is there is nothing else to be changed. So we have increased our number of units. Per unit is same. With this, what will happen? Your level of income would be increased. This first part we have solved, and kindly understand he is asking us to be independent. When we are solving our B part, we will not be following anything from first part. So this we have calculated is first part, and now we are going to create second part. For that there is little bit facility for me. I will take everything from here to solve my second part, and what I will do, I will just delete which is not needed. So performa will remain with me, remaining everything is unneeded. I'm deleting it. Let's say what your question now saying. Second part, selling price decreased by 50 cents. 50 paisa in Urdu we usually say. 50 paisa mean half rupee. Selling price decreases by 50%. Alright. Your initial selling price was 5. Okay, you are decreasing this selling price by 50 cents. Half means initial price was 5. Please look over here. So you are decreasing 50 cents. 50 cents mean 50 paisa, and century you know it's 100. So total cents in $1 are 100. So what you will do, 50 divided by 100 means 0.5. Understand it well. 50 cents in a dollar mean in complete $1 there are 100 cents, and you are talking about 50 cents in $1. So that would be 50 divided by 100, it would become 0.5, and he is saying to decrease the selling price. Let's see again, selling price decreased by 50 cents. Okay, so we have got, how did we calculate it? 5 was the original price and 50 cents had been decreased. Now your selling price would be 4.5. Let's see if there is anything else he wants to change. Number of units sold increased by 20%. So here number of units were 30,000. Please look at here. Number of units were 30,000. One thing I should have done is we can write this old as it is. It would be little easy for you to understand in this way. So per unit sale price we have calculated. That was 4.5. And how did we calculate? Price was going to be decreased. Now next is what? He is saying to number of units sold increase by 20%. Actual or old number of units were 30,000, and there will be an increase by 20%. So what will happen? Old units 30,000, due to increase we will add what? He is saying 20% increase. So 30,000 units multiply by 20 divided by 100. Within this bracket is increase. Increase how much? 20% of what? Units old. 30,000 multiplied by 20%. This would be the answer of increase, and then you will add it to the old units. You will get your new units. Hopefully you understand. We have done the same over here. Old units, then increase, and finally the final price. In the similar way, I think you have understood, but let me explain once more. 30,000 and increase, how you will calculate? 30,000 multiplied by 20 divided by 100. So it means increase is 6,000. So what you will do? Old units plus increased units, new units would be 36,000. In the same way we have written like this. So both conditions are fulfilled. First condition was to decrease 50 cent per unit. You have decreased 50 cents from 5, it had become 4.5. And then he was saying increase 20% sale price. Sale price, sale price here was increase the number of units. So number of units were 30,000, increase was 6,000. In this way, total or new number of units sold are 36,000. As you know that number of units sold and number of unit of variable cost would always be similar, same units. And he is not saying to change the variable cost, so you can write variable cost as it is. Now our steps would be to calculate the amount. Amount you can calculate by multiplying units by per unit. Units were 36,000. It would be multiplied by per unit, which is 4.5. This is amount of sales. Now amount of variable cost would be calculated by multiplying units with per unit. Unit are 36,000 and per unit is 3 mentioned over here. Okay, so you have your variable cost. Contribution margin would be calculated by subtracting variable cost from sales. Your sale is 1,60,000 and you will subtract your variable cost, which is 1,08,000. So in this way you have calculated your contribution margin. And as you can see that fixed cost was 50,000 when you were manufacturing 30,000 units. As the time when you have increased your units from 30 to 34,500, fixed cost was same. You can see over here 50,000 fixed. And as usual, now you have increased your number of units from 30 to 36. Still your fixed cost would be similar, 50,000. Now we are open to calculate our net margin by subtracting fixed cost from contribution margin. Your contribution margin is 54,000 and you will subtract your fixed cost, which is 50,000. So this way you have calculated your net margin. Let it be checked. So second part we have solved and 4,000 is your answer, and here 4,000 is your answer. So second part is completed. First part we have solved in this way. Now for third part I am doing the same thing. Please don't be jealous, because when you will be doing it in your copy, you will have to write everything again and again. But what I will do, I will be just making a copy from here and will be putting just like this again, except I will change the number. We are now at number 3. Old will remain as usually same, and there will be a change over here. So let's go to see the third point. Selling price increased by 50 cents. Okay, keep it in mind, it's not 50%, it is 50 cents per unit. So 50 cent means 50 divided by 100.5. So selling price we will increase by 50 cents. Initial price was 5 and now when you will increase by 50 cent, what will happen? 5 was the original price. Increase means add 50 cent means 50 divided by 100, which would be 0.5. In this way your price has been increased. This was said in point number 3. Selling price increased by 50 cent per unit. Fixed expenses increased by 10,000. So now first time he himself is saying that fixed cost would be increased by 50,000 to 60,000 by 10,000. So initial fixed expenses were 50,000. Now you will add 10,000 according to question. So your new fixed cost would be 60,000. Here a question can be somebody can arise a question, why fixed cost has been changed? Look, that's the matter. If rent of the factory building is fixed, but it would be fixed for shorter period of time, for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. After a year, your rental will be renewed, your contract will be renewed, and there will definitely be an increase in rent. So for shorter period of time, fixed cost will always be fixed, not for the longer period of time. So just consider this as the case. maybe after a longer period of time this fixed cost has been changed. Usually it should not be changed until and unless he is asking you to change. But I had said he was saying to increase the fixed cost, otherwise you will never be changing your fixed expenses. There is third condition as well. Number of units sold decreased by 5%. Number of units were 30,000 old. It was simply to calculate in single statement. Just for you I am writing it in separate way. 30,000 were number of units and he wants us to decrease by 5%. So take 5% of 30,000 by multiplying 30,000 with 5 and dividing with 100. Okay. So he is saying to decrease units sold by 5%. Units sold 30,000. To decrease, what you will do? 30,000. What sign you will use to decrease? Minus. So you have your new number of unit 28,500. As you know that number of units sold and number of unit for variable cost would always be similar, 28,500. So we have written units, and in our question there is nothing discussed about the cost. Selling price, fixed expenses and number of units sold. So variable cost is not being discussed. That means variable cost is not changed. So we have completed our inputs. It's time to calculate the amount. So how do you calculate the amount? For that you will be multiplying units into per unit. Number of units you have 28,500 and then you will multiply with per unit. You will get the amount. Per unit was 5.5 per unit. Sorry, sale price has been calculated. Now it's time to calculate variable cost by multiplying units into per unit. Units are 28,500. Per unit is 3, this, and you have your variable cost is calculated. It's time to calculate contribution margin by subtracting variable cost from sales. Your sale is 1,56,750. Subtract your variable cost, which is 85,500. You have got your contribution margin. Now it's time to calculate your net margin. How? By subtracting fixed cost from contribution margin. So your contribution margin is 71250. Subtract your fixed cost, which is 60,000. Here you have got your profit net margin 11,250, number 3. So number 3 has been solved and its answer is 11,250 and we have 11,250. Alright. So it's time to see what fourth entry is saying, and again I am taking a shortcut. I will use same headings which was used for third, and now we are going to see the fourth part. But kindly keep it in mind when you are solving this question on copy, you will have to write it again and again everything. Okay, so I am just deleting previous part inputs, and now we will say what condition in number 4 he is putting. Variable expenses are increased by 20 cents. Cent mean $1 contains 100 cents. So 20 divided by 100.2. Your variable cost he wants to change. Variable cost was 3. Okay. And now he is saying to increase it by 20 cents. 20 cent. 3 was the original. You want to increase. To increase, what you will do? Add. 20 cents mean 20 divided by 100 means 0.2. So here your new variable cost arrived 3.2. One condition is fulfilled. Next condition is what? Selling price increased by 12%. So selling price was 5 and he wants to increase by 12%. Okay. Here we can calculate it. 5 was the original price and there is an increase of 12%. How would you calculate 12%? 5 multiplied by 12 divided by 100. So this is increase, and total or new selling price would be what? you want to increase. Old, to increase you will add the total increase. So here your new selling price arrived, which is 5.6. Okay, let's see what next condition is putting. Number of units sold decreased by 10%. So here instead of increase, number of unit has been decreased. You can calculate over here 30,000 were the old unit, and there is decrease of how much decrease is saying? Decrease by 10%. How you will calculate 10%? 30,000 multiply by 10 divided by 100. So here you have your decrease. Please look at here. Number of units sold is decreasing. To decrease, what sign you will see? Old unit with 30,000. To decrease, you will put minus sign. And how many units have been decreased? 3,000. So your new selling units have arrived 27. As usual, you know that number of units sold and number of units for variable cost would always be similar. So you will write the same number of units. All inputs are calculated. It's time to see the amounts. How you calculate the amount? By multiplying units into per unit. So sale units 27,000. It would be multiplied by per unit sale, which is 5.6. So total sale price have been arrived. Now variable cost, you need to multiply units with per unit. These are unit for variable cost, and this is per unit cost. By multiplying 27,000 with 3.2 units multiplied by per unit, you have got your variable cost. Now we are open to calculate our contribution by subtracting variable cost from sales. Sale is 1,51,200, and you will subtract your variable cost, which is 86,400. This way you have calculated your contribution margin, which is 64,800. Fixed cost. Let's see if there is any story about fixed cost in question. Variable expenses were discussed, selling price was discussed, and number of units sold was discussed. Variable cost in number 4 has not been discussed. It means there will fixed cost has not been discussed. Over here you can see fixed cost is not mentioned. That means fixed cost would remain similar as it was. So 50,000 was original fixed cost, and same fixed cost would be put over here. Why we are putting same? Because he was saying that each case independently. So we will not follow number 3 case where fixed cost was increased. We will follow fourth independently. So in fourth, 50,000 would be fixed cost. When it has been written over here, we can calculate our net margin by subtracting fixed cost from contribution margin. Our contribution margin is 64,800. Subtract your fixed cost, which is 50,000. So you have got your net margin. And you can see at fourth point, our answer is 14,800. And here we have calculated 14,800, which is our net margin. So hopefully all 4 answers we have calculated, and yes. First we have calculated that was 19,000. You can see over here. This is old statement which was given in the book. We are concerned with this new. So first answer was 19,000. What we are going to do? This is reviewing the question. Even after putting full effort for the solution of question, it is requested to review. Before delivering your paper to the examiner, just review your question closely. Sometimes it may happen a small mistake can be deducted by reviewing. So before delivering, before transferring your paper, if you come to know about your mistake, it's a good thing. So first answer is 19,000, second answer is 4,000. For second, you can see over here we have got our 4,000, and for third is 11,250. We have third 11,250, and fourth answer we have just recently checked 14,800. This is our answer 14,800. So it means our question number 5.17 is 100% completed, and hopefully you people have understood as well. But even then, if you have any question, any query, any problem for understanding this question, you may please directly message, contact through comments as well, or you can directly meet. For the timing, it is going to be end for our 5.17 solution. Surely we will be meeting again for the solution of any other question inshallah in future. Up till then, please take care of yourself, and I'm requesting to pray for me as well. It's time to say goodbye. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.